What if what you're holding on to is slowly killing you? My friend, it's time to blow that up. I'm Sarah Stansberry, coach, author, and recovering codependent. And on this podcast, you'll learn to break free from people-pleasing, heal from relationship wounds, and move beyond anxiety and self-doubt. Because sometimes you need to destroy what isn't working to build something beautiful. Welcome to How to Blow Up Your Life. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Stansberry, and you are listening to the very first episode of How to Blow Up Your Life. I want to welcome you, and I want to thank you for being here. Now, I know many of you listening already know me. You know my story. You know what I'm about. You kind of know the things that I dig and don't dig in terms of what I write about. But if you are new here, this is what you might want to know about me. My life really is that of a typical suburban woman, a wife, a mother, and my experiences probably aren't much different than yours. I was doing all those things that you do to live a successful and fulfilled life. Was married to a nice guy, and we had 3 beautiful children, nice house, nice cars, and all of that. We love Jesus, and we're heavily ingrained within our local Christian church. I was doing everything I knew to be good and to do it right. I told myself things were going great, except they weren't going great. Not on the inside anyway. Everything seemed hard. I felt empty. And I asked myself, why couldn't I just be happy? I wondered if I was a person who could ever even be happy. What if there was some fundamental flaw in me from which I could never recover? I mean, everything was perfect, right? What was my problem? Then one day I hit a wall. I had what I called my garage door moment. You'll be able to read the details about that moment in my book later, but basically, it's a very small incidental thing happened, but I had a monumental reaction to it. The garage door wouldn't close, and I lost it. I had a full-on adult temper tantrum in our driveway in front of my kids. I was scaring them, and if I'm being honest, I was scaring myself too. It felt like I was full of rage and frustration in that moment. And I wondered, where was this rage coming from? All this anger. And then it dawned on me that the most devastating part was that I knew somehow that this wasn't an isolated incident. It was probably a pattern of behavior for me. Only now I'd become aware of it. So I had to ask myself, is this the kind of mother I wanted to be? Is this the kind of person I wanted to be? And if it wasn't, which it wasn't, who was that person? Who would she be? And I realized I had no idea. So I set out on a journey of discovery, which turned into a journey of emotional healing. And here's what I discovered. I had a raging case of codependency. I had a childhood filled with unmet emotional needs. I was using motherhood as a convenient excuse not to live my dreams. There were secrets in my marriage that I didn't know about. I had some really messed up ideas about money. I was numbing with everything I could get my hands on: alcohol, TV, shopping, food, you name it. I was too clever to have just one thing that was a problem. That seemed too scary. So I flitted from one thing to another so I could tell myself I didn't have a problem. I was an addict without a vice. And I had sexual wounding from my past that made it difficult to fully connect to another person in that way. That was more than 15 years ago, and it's a journey I'm still on today. When I started all of this, I was clueless. I had no tools to assert myself in a healthy way. I knew how to bite your head off. I knew how to steamroll. I knew how to be passive aggressive and manipulate to get my needs met. But I didn't understand really at all how to express my emotions, my needs, my desires, and wants in a constructive way. I thought I was unimportant, and I thought my needs didn't matter. Back then, I employed the kitchen cabinet method of communication. And if you haven't heard of this highly effective form of communication, I'll tell you. It goes something like this. It's when someone expresses their displeasure by forcefully closing the kitchen cabinets so that others will hear said slamming and adjust their behavior accordingly. The louder the slam, the more the dissatisfaction. An astute listener will be able to determine both the level of dissatisfaction and the cause of it just by listening to the volume and the cadence of each slam. I was a master at this form of communication, and I executed it flawlessly and often. As you can imagine, it worked great. Of course, that's a joke. It didn't work at all. And worse, it was disempowering, but I didn't know that yet. All those years ago, when I was starting this journey, I had one person I could call to help me navigate the then tricky waters of healthy communication and how I showed up in my relationships. This person had been in recovery for a long time and was ahead of me in all of this. She seemed to have learned the ropes, and she was always still learning. She had the time to take me under her wing and teach me. I remember I would literally call her to ask advice for the smallest of things. The PTA wants me to bake cookies, but I don't want to. What should I do? My now ex just called to ask if it was okay not to come home and watch the kids, even though we'd agreed he'd do this morning. What do I do? I don't want to make my kids wear matching Easter outfits, even though my mother-in-law insists they should, and she's already bought the clothes. What do I do? Stuff like that. I had no idea how to communicate my needs in a way where I could honor myself and the other person. And because of this, my relationships weren't connected because I wasn't showing up as my true self. I was too afraid of getting hurt. Instead, I was like showing up as some weird version of me that I thought I was supposed to present to the world. And I knew I wanted to be so much better than that, so much more. I knew I wanted connection with others, to know and be known by others, which is, well, it's what we all want at the deepest levels. But I didn't know how to do that, how to be the person I knew I wanted to be. So back to my person and how she helped me. What I realized when I was starting out is that you just need one person who's done it to show you the way. Just one, that's it. And I thought, well, maybe if I can be that one person for you, and maybe you can be that one person for someone else, and so on and so on, well, then together, we might just be able to change the world, one heart-based conversation at a time. Now, I started writing about my experiences and what I'd learned from therapy and support groups and from Al-Anon and other codependency recovery I'd done about, I don't know, a decade ago. That blog was called Unchained. And I know a lot of you have read that work already. Last year, I started a Substack called How to Blow Up Your Life. And I've also written a book by the same title, which will be coming out soon. And now here we are, How to Blow Up Your Life as a podcast. So, what does it mean to blow up your life? Well, when you hear the term blow up your life, you might think it's something fatalistic, but I promise you it's not. I will tell you, it's been the most powerful thing I've done for myself and the people I love. Blowing up your life isn't about destroying or burning it all down, though I pretty much did. It's about the art of creative destruction. It's about tearing down the ideas, beliefs, and perspectives that aren't serving you to clear the way for the ones that will. Creative destruction is about evaluating what you do and why you do it. Creative destruction takes into account your needs and also the needs of those that you love. It's intentional. It's not knee-jerk. It's not a reaction, but instead a solid place from which to stand, evaluate, and then pivot as needed so you can show up authentically as your healthiest self. If you're not making decisions out of your healthiest self, then you're doing yourself and those around you a disservice. Why is that, you ask? Well, I'm still figuring it all out, but from what I can determine, it goes something like this. We are all created to our highest and greatest self, but we don't always act out of that place or make decisions from there either. And this results in a lot of dissatisfaction in life. It breeds fear, pain, addiction, dysfunction, and a lot of other things that just make life harder. Our ideas and beliefs and perspectives about ourselves and the world and others shape who we are and either bring us closer to our best selves or further away from it. When you become brave enough to stop and analyze what you're doing and explore the motivation behind your behaviors, you can invite an opportunity for change and healing and essentially blowing up the old ideas you once held dear, but were actually keeping you from reaching your greatest and highest self. Creative destruction asks you to evaluate why you do what you do, why you believe what you believe, and then deconstruct the things that don't exemplify your true being. So, how do you know when it's time to bring some creative destruction into your life? For me, it was that ordinary day when the garage door wouldn't close, which, of course, is about so much more than that. But instead of waiting for a meltdown, you can start by asking yourself these key questions. Are there thoughts, ideas, and situations that you just can't let go of? Is there a lot of conflict in your life? Is everything in constant crisis? Do you have trouble regulating your emotions? And do you have outbursts of anger? Or do you lash out? Does it feel like your life is on a constant roller coaster? Do you feel like you're just barely getting by each day? Do you suffer from anxiety and depression? If you've answered yes to 2 or more of these questions, perhaps it's time to blow something up. And if that's the case, know that you are in good company and that you are not alone. Also know there's nothing wrong with you. You're doing the best you can with what you know, the same as the rest of us. Now, you might be thinking, Sarah, this sounds scary. Well, it is. I would never lie to you about that. But I'm here to be your person. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it and we can do it together. So on this podcast, in my solo episodes and my conversations with experts, we're going to kind of break down the world a little bit, and we're going to better understand ourselves and how we fit into it. Now, maybe you're ready to blow up your life, and I can tell you, you're in the right place. Maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm not so sure. Yeah, you're still in the right place. What I'm trying to say is whether you're ready or getting ready to be ready, you're in the right place. Keep tuning in. I've got a lot of really exciting things coming up. And if you have specific questions, you can email me at sarah@howtoblowupyourlife.com, and I'll answer them for you to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer them, I'll find someone who can, because it's my mission to be that one person for you. You are not alone. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to How to Blow Up Your Life. If you like this show, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and it helps more than you know. You can join me on Substack at sarahstansberry.substack.com, where we continue these conversations. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Sarah Stansberry. This podcast is produced by Shout More Quietly Productions. Music by Jay Ferris. All links and information are in the show notes. Now go forward and blow up your life.